The initial moment I spotted it, I convinced myself it was all in my head. Physicians view patients in a specific way. Detached. Analytical. But this felt entirely different. My name is Ethan Mercer. I am 36 years old. Last Tuesday, I accompanied my wife to what seemed like a standard checkup visit. Her physician, Dr. Lena Strauss, hardly glanced at my wife. Her attention stayed fixed on me. Not in a fleeting manner. Not in a clinical one. It lingered deliberately. Whenever my wife looked down at her phone, Dr. Strauss's gaze returned to mine. No warmth. No teasing. Just an intensity. Something resembling pressing concern. The session concluded as usual. Lab tests ordered. Prescriptions tweaked. Follow-up appointment booked. We departed. I nearly dismissed the incident. Then, roughly 60 minutes afterward, my phone buzzed. Caller ID familiar. I picked up. Ethan, the voice whispered. It was Dr. Strauss. I couldn't discuss this here in my practice, she explained. Surveillance is constant. My heart constricted. This concerns your wife. Come see me tomorrow morning. A brief hesitation. Come by yourself. Quietness from my side. Her tone dropped further. And under no circumstances should she find out. The call ended abruptly. I gazed at the device. In our kitchen, my wife hummed softly as she prepared tea. Utterly serene. Completely ordinary. For the first time during our 8-year marriage, it struck me that I had no real idea what condition she was actually receiving treatment for. I said nothing to her that evening. That's the initial mistake most people make. They respond impulsively. I chose observation. Emma navigated the home in her usual manner. Composed. Precise. Deliberate. She set her phone screen down on the countertop during cooking. That wasn't her typical habit. Did Dr. Strauss make any modifications? I inquired lightly. Only changes to the amounts, she answered, eyes fixed elsewhere. Amounts. She never shares the specific drug names with me. Claims they involve hormones and are complex. I gave a nod. Offered a smile. Headed to the upper floor. At 7:58 the following morning, I entered the medical office unaccompanied. Dr. Strauss skipped any invitation to take a seat. She secured the door. Properly bolted it. That incident should never have occurred, she murmured softly. What incident? She paused briefly, then set a folder onto the surface. Not a standard printout. Marked with a red label. Access limited. Your wife isn't receiving care for the condition she described to you, she stated. The space seemed to shrink. She mentioned it involved her thyroid. Dr. Strauss moved her head side to side gently. The issue is neurological. My heartbeat actually steadied rather than accelerating. What does that indicate? She moved closer. Cognitive alterations, Ethan. Memory alterations. Behavioral impulse modifications. I fixed my eyes on her. That still doesn't clarify the secretive phone call. She gulped. It goes beyond the medical label. Quietness followed. Then, she explicitly requested that certain incidents remain unrecorded. Incidents? I echoed. Dr. Strauss maintained eye contact. She has described interactions with you that never took place. The atmosphere grew sparse. That can't be true, can't it? She responded softly. Next came the statement that caused my insides to sink. She insists you've attempted to poison her. Briefly, I let out a laugh. It held no humor. It was pure reflex. Poison her? I echoed. That's absurd. Dr. Strauss remained unsmiling. She outlined particular events, she stated evenly. Tea carrying a metallic flavor. Water containers left open. Timing of doses manipulated. My throat tightened. She believes I'm tampering with her drugs? She suspects you're gradually modifying her intake. Quietness expanded between us. I've never handled her medications, I declared. Dr. Strauss inclined her head. I'm aware. You're aware. She supplied a sample of her pills last month, the physician went on. Claimed possible interference. We conducted a laboratory analysis. Result? No changes detected. A fragile sense of relief emerged. Then it must be a false belief, I concluded. Dr. Strauss wavered. That was our initial assumption. Assumption. Past tense. She further mentioned concealed recording devices in your residence. The doctor continued. Particularly in the kitchen area. The kitchen. I visualized her setting the phone face down. Her quick glances backward during tea preparation. Do such devices exist? Dr. Strauss inquired kindly. None indoors, I answered. Then I hesitated. Outdoors, yes. Our security setup. Entrance. Driveway. Files stored remotely. Remotely viewable. Ethan, She stated cautiously, I worry about further progression. Toward what? Her volume decreased once more. She inquired regarding laws on self-protection. The temperature in the room dropped. She mentioned that when gradual harm is suspected, acting beforehand might be defensible. I remained motionless, silent, because the real issue shifted, not whether she suspected me of poisoning, but whether she felt compelled to act against me preemptively. Dr. Strauss passed an item across the desk. A printed record. Her exact phrasing. She stated, if he attempts it once more, I refuse to hesitate. My heart rate finally altered. Attempts what? I questioned. The physician regarded me attentively. She refused to elaborate. And for the initial occasion since everything started, I understood I wasn't the sole watcher. I returned home at a reduced speed. Not out of fear, but due to reassessment. If Emma truly believed I was poisoning her, then any ordinary action from me might register as danger. Meals, reminders about pills, even quietness. Upon entering, she stood once more at the kitchen surface. Identical kettle, identical cup. She glanced upward and offered a smile. How did work go? She inquired lightly. Ordinary voice. Ordinary expression. Typical day, I responded. I observed her hands. Unwavering. She transferred boiling water to her cup. Failed to extend an offer to me. That marked a change. Did you return to the office? She asked in an offhand way. The inquiry arrived too smoothly. No, I stated evenly. Reason? Merely curious, she answered, stirring deliberately. Metal utensil. Porcelain vessel. Gentle clink. She cradled the cup near, but delayed sipping. Instead, her eyes remained on me, as though anticipating something. You've seemed withdrawn lately, she remarked. Have I? She gave a nod. Altered. Altered. A curious choice of term. Sleep eluded me significantly that night. Near 2:17 a.m., I detected motion in the corridor. Subtle. Cautious. Not typical restroom steps. Deliberate ones. I lay motionless. The bedroom entrance cracked open briefly, then shut. She remained unaware of my wakefulness. Moments afterward, my phone trembled on the bedside table. Familiar contact. I examined it without sound. Single text. Examine the cabinet in your kitchen. Uppermost level. No sender. No further detail. I held off until daylight. Emma departed early for her yoga session. I approached the cabinet. Uppermost shelf. Concealed behind breakfast boxes. A compact plastic pouch. Within, one of her medication containers. Vacant. Attached via tape. A message in her own script. Should anything occur to me, he caused it. My hand stayed firm. Yet something within trembled. Because fear alone didn't drive her. She was readying herself. I left the container untouched. Avoided any accusation. I replaced it precisely as discovered. Readiness succeeds only when the counterpart assumes superiority. Upon Emma's return, she radiated post-yoga energy. Serene. At ease. Fully engaged. Everything all right? She inquired kindly. Why wouldn't it be? I answered. She examined my features a fraction longer than usual, then smiled. That evening, I altered my approach. I redirected the exterior camera recordings to a secure, private archive. Not for surveillance on her. For recording trends. At 11:43 p.m., she exited the bedroom once more. Unshod. Unhurried. Not toward the kitchen area this occasion. She entered my workspace. I remained immobile. Track time. Following 6 minutes, she returned to sleep. The subsequent morning, I reviewed the recording. She accessed my workstation drawer. The compartment holding my vitamin supplements. Not prescribed drugs. Merely magnesium plus B vitamins. She removed an item. Exchanged something. Departed. I descended composedly. Unlocked the drawer. The supplement container appeared less full. I emptied the contents into my hand. Altered hue. Identical form. My heartbeat remained even. I restored them precisely. Then contacted Dr. Strauss. She's intensifying matters, I stated softly. Quietness. Ethan, the physician answered. Has paranoia surfaced in her previously? Never. Any hereditary background? I paused. Whispers existed about her mother's commitment to care, never openly addressed. Possibly, I conceded. Dr. Strauss drew breath gradually. An alternative explanation exists. Which? She might not genuinely suspect you of poisoning. Then what suspicion holds? The physician's tone lowered. She might conclude you attempted already, and she endured. That perspective altered the entire picture. Because if survival of an effort existed in her mind, then this transcended protection. It became vengeance. And vengeance requires no confirmation, merely the right moment. I avoided police involvement with the supplements. Instead, I delivered them to an independent facility. Discreet. Rapid. Analysis complete. By 4 in the afternoon, findings arrived. Not toxic. Not fatal. Contained a minimal beta-blocker substance. The category employed to reduce cardiac rhythm. The category occasionally used for tension relief. Or to simulate heart-related issues. My respiration held steady. She hadn't aimed to end me. She sought to create an appearance of natural occurrence, precisely mirroring what she assumed I pursued against her. When Emma arrived home that night, she observed me closely. "You appear unwell," she noted gently. "Exhausting hours." She monitored my movements as I filled a glass. Anticipating. Assessing. That moment clarified everything. This lacked spontaneous false perception. It represented deliberate storytelling. She required indications. She required my equilibrium to falter. She required consistency. Because consistency transforms into evidence. Later that evening, I inspected my messages. An unsent draft awaited in the sent items. Directed to her physician. Heading: Prescription worries. I composed none of it. The content outlined emotional instability, irritability, mild antagonism, bearing my signature. Timestamp 2:19 a.m. The precise hour of her workspace visit. I shut the device gradually. This transcended mere suspicion. It constituted orchestration. Should she establish my instability and establish her own apprehension, then any occurrence could undergo reinterpretation, protection of self, clinical misunderstanding, regrettable intensification. I stepped into the sitting area. She rested cross-legged upon the sofa, engrossed in a book, tranquil, graceful. "I believe conversation is needed," I stated. She raised her eyes gradually. Finally, her smile remained distant. And for the first instance since this unfolded, I ceased questioning her stability. I questioned whether stability had ever truly existed. "I believe conversation is needed," I restated. Emma set aside her reading deliberately. "Regarding?" she inquired gently. No strain audible. No quiver. Merely composure. I positioned myself opposite, regarding the messages composed from my device. A brief spark. Subtle. Nearly undetectable. I failed to understand. 2:19 a.m., I noted. "You enter my workspace." She inclined her head marginally. "You're fabricating matters." That remark carried greater weight than any prior statement. Manipulation succeeds through disruption. It failed here. I inclined forward steadily. I examined the supplements. Her features stayed constant. They held no deadly intent. I proceeded. Yet modifications occurred. Quietness. Then she performed an unforeseen action. She smiled. Not anxious. Not contrived. Almost eased. "At last you observed," she murmured softly. The space contracted. "Observed what?" "Your capacity for doubt," she responded. My rhythm altered. "This concerned neither toxin," she proceeded. "It concerned reaction." "Reaction to what?" She rose gradually, moved toward the kitchen space. "You've withdrawn for months," she stated. "Reviewing finances, altering access codes, monitoring my actions." Because I had done precisely that. Discreetly, I trailed her. "I assumed illness afflicted you," I stated. She pivoted to confront me. "And I assumed you prepared to depart." That struck deeper than the analysis outcomes. She constructed no homicide safeguard. She constructed dominance. "When betrayal seems possible," she murmured gently, "one evaluates." Through accusation? Through discovering their limits. Quietness extended. Then she uttered something transformative. I lodged no official complaint. My respiration halted. "I sought to witness your initial move. Not delusion. Not disorder. A test." And abruptly, the gravest element ceased being the supplements. It became the acknowledgement that both participated. Neither acknowledged until this instant. We faced each other in the kitchen like negotiators settling conditions rather than spouses of 8 years. "You feared my departure," she stated softly. "Thus you commenced scrutiny." "You feared my poisoning," I countered. "Thus you commenced recording." Neither refuted. Both recognized truth. The apprehension originated not from treatment. It began months prior. Minor details. Overnight professional discussions. Individual financial arrangements. Affectionate separation masked as efficiency. Communication ceased. Observation commenced. That moment trust transforms. Not toward animosity, toward constant watchfulness. I never intended harm toward you, she declared. Nor I toward you. And for the first occasion since onset, the strain eased. Not from absent peril, but from exposed reality. No grand plot existed. No gradual toxicity. No psychological breakdown. Only uncertainty, pride, dominion. Two capable individuals excessively stubborn to confess fear of separation. I erased the unsent message. She discarded the modified supplements into the drain. We remained seated at the table wordlessly for an extended period. The exterior devices continued capturing. Yet indoors, observation halted. 7 days afterward, counseling commenced. Not due to individual imbalance. Due to mutual imbalance. Destruction of partnership requires no toxin, merely quietness. And the unspoken conviction that betrayal looms from the other side first. That conviction nearly converted us to adversaries. Instead, it revealed an uneasy fact. Protection targeted not danger. Protection targeted exposure. And exposure erodes far more gradually. I cannot guarantee endurance. Yet at minimum now, we cease feigning a clinical enigma. It has always concerned trust.